Last session, do you have any question about tenant or subscription and the resource group, what resources and all?
No, sir.
Cool. So what I want to try to do here, okay, so let's explore about one of the component in the storage. So why we are going to start with the storage account is basically we have a lot of dependency with this storage account as a SQL database guy. Okay, this storage uh, area basically on premises, and most of the cases there is separate storage team is going to taken care, right? So you may aware of that the concept on premises who we are working earlier. So database related team and the storage team and the network team, application team, middleware team, there is a lot of teams is going to involving to support the project and all, right? But as a cloud administrator or a cloud DBA, you should know that actually what exactly it is going to do, what is the dependency with that one. Okay, why the storage account is basically when you are doing any migration kind of stuff. Okay, if you want to move some data from on-premises to cloud landscape, okay, the storage account is going to play very vital role here. Okay, so that's what I just started with the storage account. So then after that, we'll start with the virtual machine. Then after that, we'll start with the networking concept. Then we will start Azure SQL. Okay, so we can directly start the Azure SQL, but you should not understand and you may not have this concept. Okay, when you are trying to create any database, okay, so it is more involvement with the storage component, network component, and the VM instances. So to avoid such kinds of confusion, let's start the basic related stuff. When you understand the basics, you can get in easy to have grab the real-time scenarios. Okay, so as I said, even I'm working on a 15 years experience and 5.5 years of experience in the cloud, but still I'm just sometimes I'll face issues. Okay, that is the case. We are going to raise a support ticket as well. Okay, so as I shown you guys yesterday, so that is the one of the scenarios which I faced, and working with Microsoft team as well. Okay, there may be a lot of issues, the configuration prospect of or there is some mismatch of parameters to give. So that is a different case. So why I'm trying to insisting this storage account, it is going to play a vital role into this going forward. Okay, now just high level brief I am going to present you folks basically the storage account related stuff. Okay, so see, before that, I just want to show in a navigation bar. Okay, let's click on the storage account. Okay, let's click on the storage account. We have some storage account flavors here. Okay, see, already the storage account is got created here. Okay, so if you create the storage account, it will show like that. Okay, so when the storage account is got created, inside of the storage account, there will be a lot of mm, options is going to available. So before going to this presentation, I just want to show some sort of storage related stuff. Okay, so here is the storage account, left side panel. Okay, so when you try to explore about the existing storage account, if I'm going to click on this one, there is a lot of options and the features is available, right? We will explore it. Okay, so once we are going to create, we'll explore it, all these options. Okay, so if you can see, guys, okay, so in the storage data store, there is a containers, file shares, and queues, tables is there, right? See, as a database guy, we are going to work on most of the cases this containers. Okay, this container earlier, it is going to use as a blob storage. It is going to use as a blob storage. That's what I'm saying. Here is, we have, uh, virtual machine unstructured structured is there, right? So that we will discuss basically. Okay, so in the cloud prospect of the storage account is basically, we'll have, four flavors here, four options. Okay, containers in the sense of blob storage, and the file share is normal our UNC network path. Queue is basically, this is messaging services application team is going to utilize. Table is basically, it is act as in a database. This is act as in a database. The rest of the thing we will explore it. Okay, so what exactly what is going to happen. Okay, so first of all, let's jump into this storage options. Basically, we will store the data, right? So whether it is in a structured data, unstructured data, or semi-structured data kind of thing, right? So you have, if you have files, excels, or some other jpg and videos, what we will do, in a virtual machine storage point of, okay, either disk or files you are going to accommodate, we are going to use, right? In the under the disk, okay, you are going to create multiple folders, there you are going to store the data. Okay, either the SQL backup files or text files, whatever you want to go on, there is one kind of storage facilitator we have. Okay, unstructured data. So what kind of unstructured data is basically unstructured data in the sense, okay, so text file, video file, jpg, pdf. Okay, so and we do have the .bak file. These are all comes into the unstructured files only. Okay, so in unstructured file we have two flavors. One is the blobs, other one is a data lake. We will discuss, just try to understand, if you have option to store the data, what kind of options we have. One is a virtual machine storage, unstructured data, structured data. So structured data in the sense, what is the structured data? SQL is RDBMs, all the RDBMS flavors contain in the structured data, right? So structured data in the sense, there is some structure format you are going to maintain. Okay, the data is, you have rows and columns. Okay, in a vertical and a horizontal, you are going to store it, and you have to follow some structure. Okay, so worker options and all. So let's say you created the data, and if you want to insert in some unstructured data kind of thing, it won't work. That's what the best example is Cosmos DB, and I know Azure SQL DB is a structured database. So it will follow one kind of structure schema operation. Okay, based upon the schema, the data is going to store, or you can retrieve the data. Okay, you have an option blob storage and a data lake. So what is the blob storage? Currently we are considering as container. Now it is called as a container. Okay, the earlier name as a blob storage. Just I want to ensuring that earlier, the you may sometimes will get in an exam blob storage as well. Okay, so these are the flavors actually. Okay, now I just want to have to discuss the other thing. So if you want to create storage account, okay, the storage account is a cloud-based storage. Okay, solution, we can store the data, VHD, data table, queue table. Okay, so Azure, in the Azure, right? So developer can, it is used to store working data, storage account like website, mobile app, desktop, and many more other type of solution. So it means this storage account you can use for the developer or administrator, or whoever they want to use, but storing of your data like VHDs, queues, files, whatever you want, you can store it. Okay, but in a storage account we have multiple options. One is a general purpose and standard storage account, blob storage account. Let's go and see that what are the example of creating of first of all storage account, then we will come to this theoretical part. Okay, so you have storage account managed and the unmanaged also we have, that also we are going to discuss. Just try to understand just for the terminologies. Okay, don't mug up. Okay, what is the managed, what is the unmanaged, that kind of things we have to explore it. Okay, so let's try to create what are the options we can able to explore it first of all. Okay, so this is the existing storage account which we can able to see, but in the left side panel we have all the storage all the SQL and the storage account and networking, VM instances, all the services which is provided by the Microsoft, right? So I am more concerned about at this moment the storage account, right? So just click on the storage account, or else we can go and click on this, create resource, where you can able to go for the storage related stuff. We can able to create it here. Okay, or else you can just go and all the services, where also we can able to find the storage option. Okay, so there is a multiple ways to create it. This is the GA method. Even you can able to create even you can able to create in um, uh, command line method as well, that we will go and explore it. Okay, so at this moment we can go and click on this create storage account. Okay, and just go to the create option here. Okay, so we do have restore, manage, view, and exports CSV file and all. Okay, this is different options to this window, but our agenda to create a storage account. So the main purpose of the creating of the storage account, because of the when we are going to utilize the SQL backup files to move from on-premises to cloud landscape, it is going to play very important role. That's what I'm just part of this basic stuff. I'm just focusing the storage part. Okay, let's have the subscription which we already discussed, and the resource group. Okay, so the resource group, as I said, you can use on-file to create and utilize, and then you can able to utilize for the existing one. Okay, I'm going to take the test resource group. Okay, now so provide the storage account name. The storage account name must and should unique across the world, and also use for the lower cases. Okay, so with the 3 to 24 characteristics. Okay, so I want to do SQL SCA. Okay, so what it is mean? SQL storage account 2023. This is what my storage account name, and I'm just going to give this a location of storage account that should reside. Okay, so if you can see here, when you are going to creating the storage account, there is a okay, so standard storage account and a premium storage account. Okay, standard storage account recommend you must scenarios of the general purpose. What is the general purpose means? So it's basically our generally whatever we are going to utilize daily purpose, that you can able to utilize. And the premium is basically if you want to know more faster. Okay, so more let's say what is the most fast data it is going to retrieve and updating data, basically the what we call sensex information, right? So it's required fraction of seconds variation. Stock exchange people, so they're using more frequent data, and it should be milliseconds they want the data. So that is the case, you can use for the premium. And the standard recommendation is basically when you are going to utilize for any normal usage of storing data, retrieving data ad hoc basis, or not a frequent. Okay, so just periodically you are going to utilize, that should be 1 hour 2 hours. But the premium, it is going to very fast, and very mission critical related stuff, you're going to leverage this feature is basically. Okay, I'll explain it what is the geo redundant, what is the local redundant, and what is the GRS and RAGS. That I'm going to explain it next within the 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so I just jump into this one. As I said, okay, we have standard storage account and a premium storage account. Okay, so standard storage account is basically it is have the HSDs. Okay, HSDs, and this is SSDs. Okay, this is HSDs like hard disk type of kind of thing. Okay, so normally in earlier days, the disk may be like a rack, very what we call hard drives related stuff. It will be available, right? But now today it is in a magnetic drives we are going to use. What it is exactly, it is referring a general purpose storage account and the standard storage account, right? So this general purpose account is basically the virtual means disk under the single account performance tier, and standard storage account, it will provide for the blob files. You don't uh, take much thing here. Just try to understand the terminologies. Okay, so we'll get later on to each and every component when we are doing practical. Okay, so just make sure that what are the options is available, what purpose we are going to utilize at this moment. Okay, so we have in details information of all the LRS, GRS and all. Okay, so here also we have the type of the storage account, hot tier and the cool tier. So this hot tier is basically the data which you are going to utilize frequently, daily, or every minute, every 15 minutes. Cold tier is basically the data which are less frequent access. So less frequent access in the sense, basically you can use for the weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. So that type of option also we have. Okay, so the other thing is basically what we discussed, okay, just before. There is a HSD disk and the other thing is the SSD disk. Okay, in Azure Premium disk comes into the scope of SSD disk, and this is Azure's standard disk is comes into the picture of a HSD disk. Okay, so this is an actually magnetic disk. Okay, so this is kind of an electronic disk. Okay, so this is our hard disk. Okay, our a laptop hard disk, and earlier we are going to use external hard disk, right? So that is basically, it is in a metal kind of thing, but which is comes into this one, it is an electronic kind of thing. So SSD based of high performance low latent disk support from the VMs running IO intensive workloads, hosting the mission critical production environment. So this is basically high intensive workloads. If you want high performance related stuff, there we can able to use. Okay, and here is the HSD based disk support for the dev test VM scenario build. So that is not high performance data. Now why we are going to discuss is basically as a database administrator, guy, you are the when you are deploying any VM at the database, okay, you are make sure that okay the disk should be in a SSD. Always SQL servers, SQL database related. So 99, not 90, 100% you have to use for the SSD disks only. Okay, so And other real-time scenario, basically when you are facing some sort of any disk performance related issues, you have ensuring that what kind of data, what kind of disk that are being attached this VM and all. So make sure that that should be SSD disk. So by default, when you are deploying any SQL server, it will be a SSD disk, but part of the performance optimization related, if you face, but make sure this SSD disk. Okay. And the scenarios is production workload, non-production workload. So what are the size of, what are the IO? This will in-depth related stuff. Just we'll discuss in later on when we are deploying the SQL server.
Sir,
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, if by mistakenly I have selected HHD or HDD, so can I change later,
Yeah.
means from
Yes. Yes.
HDD to SSD, sorry.
Yes. Yes. We have that option. We can do.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. During the deployment also you can choose the option. After the deployment also you can change this from HSD to the SSD. Okay. But
Okay, sir.
one thing you have to remember. Let's say initially you configured HSD disk. Okay. Later on you have to increase the SSD disk. Okay. That it is will possible. But when you adapted SSD disk, if you want to go for the lower grade of HSD disk, that is bit of complication, but still there is an option. Okay. But lower to higher it is going to easy. Okay. So let's say you are in a basic plan, boss. Okay. You want to increase standard or premium plan, that it will easy will go. Okay. But you are already in a premium plan. If you want to go back for the basic plan, that it will take some difficulty to change it. Okay. That you have to make sure. Okay. That's what every time when you are deploying, make sure that whether you are opting the SSD disk or HSD disk. Okay, that is only the thing you have to remember. That will comes into the in a real time base. Okay, so one thing is here. One is container based storage account here, and the other thing is just before we discuss an Azure premium disk and the standard disk. Okay, so what type of sizing tier here. Okay, storage types and the hot tier and the cold tier. Okay, these are the terminals we discuss. The other thing is next is very important is okay, the unmanaged and the managed disk. Unmanaged and the managed disk. Okay, so if you can see the picture is basically in a cloud, and what it will happen if you deployed any VM. Okay, the underlying hardware component in a Microsoft end. Okay, so what they will do, VM1 you deployed, VM2 you deployed, VM3 you deployed, but they will take only one rack. Okay, they will divide into the multiple uh, drives, and it is going to attach backend. So let's say this rack is going to corrupted complete, there is three VMs is going to not work, right? It is in a single point of failure. Okay, when you go this is unmanaged disk is basically ARM availability set. So this option actually Microsoft initial started, as I said. Okay, um, uh, unmanaged this kind of thing. Okay, so this is you have to maintain, and if there is a risk kind of thing. Now when you go for the managed disk, okay, each and every VM we have an isolated drives is going to attach. Let's say if the problem is with this disk, maybe the VM3 is going to not working. Once after the resolution is done, it will work as expected. But here the case is only this is a shared disk, right? Any one of the disk is going to the entire this shared disk is going to collapse. All the three VMs is going to down. But here is the case is uh, uh, only for the particular VM is going to affected, right? So two terminologies. One is for unmanaged and the managed disk. Unmanaged is it is have some single point of failure, but managed is there is no single point of failure. We have some availability option kind of thing here. All right. Now, so as I said, when we are trying to create storage account type is basically we have blob storage is nothing but container, okay, and you have table storage and file storage and a queue storage. So these are the four flavors we have under the storage account. Just keep remember, this is exam point of view also, it will help. And now see here the storage account structure, how it is going to happen. You have in a storage account, under the storage account container, you may have store your VHDs and pictures, movies, whatever you want to store, you can store it here. Blob storage, R is nothing but the container. Okay, so the other thing is when you are trying to create any storage account, it is going to show you the redundancy. What is the redundancies? Basically, if you are storing your data, if you are storing your any data, let me show you an example. This is your laptop, boss. Okay, so this is your hard disk. Okay, so if anything goes wrong, you are gone, right? So it is a single point of failure, right? But when you go for the cloud, Microsoft, it is going to give us, there is a lot more features and option. Okay, so Microsoft is going to give us, there is a lot of options. Okay, so this is my storage account. This is my storage account. Right? So let's say the storage account name is basically SQL ESCA 2023. Okay, this is my storage account. Now, when you go for this option, you are going to creating a storage account under the performance tier standard one, and which is having option of general purpose V2 account and the redundancy of the data. So just before the option, okay, in your laptop or the server, if it is in locally stored, if something went wrong here, something went wrong here, so your data is gone, right? Your data is gone. There is no redundancy. There is no secure at all your data. But in a Microsoft, it is going to give in a standard tier, there is a lot of option. So by default, Microsoft, what it will do, let's say you stored some file here. Okay, backend Microsoft, what it will do, it will maintain 3 copies of the data. Backend, 3 copies of data. They may be stored in a different region, they may be stored in the different zone, and they will be stored into the different data center. Okay, so I'll explain it first of all. So by default, it will store 3 copies of data at any point of time. There is a data redundancy for your storage account. Right now, if you can see this option, okay, so there is a local redundant storage, lowest cost option with the best protection against your server rack and drive failure, recommended for the non-critical. And the other option would be geo redundant storage. I'll tell you this, it will maintain around 6 copies of your data. Okay, I am going to show you folks in the premium list. Okay, so in the premium storage account, it is going to show you only LROps option. Okay, here is the GRS RA GRS option is there. I should show 2 more things actually. Okay, South India. Let's take East to yes. Okay, sometimes see here. So for the US region, you have a local redundant and zone redundant. Okay, geographical redundant, geographical read-only redundant. We will discuss in details on. So what I'm trying to say, your storage account, under the storage account, if you are going to store your data, by default 3 copies of data it is going to maintain. But what are those options is basically we have option 1 LRS, second one is ZRS, third one is GRS and RAGRS. Let's discuss about all this option. Okay, So, but every option is having its own priority as well as the cost is going to applicable. In a real-time scenario, how it is going to applicable. So just before going to discuss, I'll want to go and see here. What is that exactly is going to happen? See, LRS means local redundant storage. Okay, maintain 3 copies of your data, 3 copies of your data. Okay, the data replicated 3 times within a single facilitate region. Okay, so as I said, you guys is remember, so these are the total regions we have. Okay, total regions we have, complete regions, nearly 66 region. Each region is having its own zones as well. Okay, it means, let's say, it's available currently in a east to west region. Okay, east to west region. Okay, this is currently available east to west region. So if you choose LRS option, what it will happen? So if you choose this storage account LRS option, as per the definition, it will maintain your data 3 copies within the single region. Okay, within the, here is 1 copy, here is 1 copy, here is a 1 copy of your data that is going to maintain. Okay, and next is June redundant, maintain 3 copies of your data. Okay, data is replicated 3 times across 2 or 3 facilities, either within a single or